Imagine standing in complete darkness. The wind screams at 100 miles per hour. Ice crystals cut your face like tiny knives. The temperature, -40 degrees. Your shelter is buried under 10 feet of snow. Most people would die in less than 3 hours. But for thousands of years, Native Americans not only survived these conditions, they thrived in them. Today, you're going to discover survival secrets so powerful that modern scientists are still studying them. Before we dive into the survival techniques, you need to understand just how deadly these blizzards were. The Great Plains of North America experienced some of the most violent winter storms on Earth. Wind chill could reach -80 degrees Fahrenheit. At these temperatures, exposed skin freezes in under 5 minutes. Visibility drops to zero. In 1888, the school children's blizzard killed over 235 people in just a few hours. Many froze to death just feet from their homes because they couldn't see them. But Native American tribes living in these same regions had survival rates that shocked early European settlers. While newcomers perished by the hundreds, Native peoples continued their daily lives with minimal casualties. The answer lies in knowledge passed down through countless generations. Knowledge that modern survival experts call the most sophisticated cold-weather survival system ever developed. The first secret wasn't about tools or shelter. It was about mindset. Native Americans understood something that modern psychology has only recently confirmed. Panic kills faster than cold. When a blizzard hit, the natural response is fear. Your heart races. You breathe faster. You want to run. But this is deadly. Running in a whiteout means getting lost within seconds. Heavy breathing brings freezing air deep into your lungs. Panic causes you to sweat, and wet clothing in extreme cold is a death sentence. Plains tribes like the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Blackfoot trained their people from childhood to enter a state of calm awareness during storms. Children learned to recognize the signs of an approaching blizzard hours before it arrived, giving them time to prepare mentally and physically. When the storm hit, they would slow their breathing, conserve energy, and trust in their preparations. No wasted movement. No panic. Just calculated survival. This mental discipline meant they could make rational decisions when others were freezing in confusion. Now let's talk about their shelters, because this is where things get truly fascinating. The teepee design is an engineering masterpiece that modern engineers have found to be more stable in extreme winds than many modern structures. Here's why. The conical shape deflects wind instead of resisting it. When wind hits a teepee, it flows around the curved surface. This is the same principle used in designing modern wind turbines. The stakes and weight system anchored the entire structure to the ground. The adjustable smoke flaps at the top could be positioned to create suction that pulled smoke out while preventing dangerous downdrafts. But the materials were equally important. Buffalo hide, when wet or covered in snow, actually becomes heavier and tighter, sealing gaps automatically. The natural oils made it water-resistant, and the hair side provided insulation while allowing moisture to escape. The Inuit igloo is even more impressive. Snow is 90 to 95% trapped air, making it one of the best insulators in nature. The dome shape distributes weight evenly. Body heat and small fires inside can raise the interior temperature to 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit while it's -40 outside. Earth lodges, used by tribes like the Mandan and Hidatsa, were partially underground with layers of earth and grass. The ground itself provided insulation, and covered entrance tunnels prevented wind from entering directly. Native American cold-weather clothing was so effective that Arctic explorers in the 1800s abandoned their European gear in favor of native designs. The key was layering with specific materials in a specific order. The base layer was soft leather or animal skin worn with hair against the skin, creating tiny air pockets that trapped body heat while wicking moisture away. The middle layer was typically made from bird skins, particularly waterfowl. Down feathers provide the highest warmth-to-weight ratio of any natural material. The outer layer used thick buffalo or caribou hides with hair facing outward. The long, hollow hairs trap air and shed snow and moisture. Moccasins weren't just simple shoes. They were layered systems with inner fur for insulation and outer waterproofed hide. Some tribes stuffed the space between layers with dried grass for additional warmth. Mittens were preferred over gloves because fingers could share warmth. Face masks made from soft leather protected from frostbite while preventing dangerous inhalation of extremely cold air. And here's the critical part: they regularly changed and dried their clothing. Moisture was the enemy. Even in a blizzard, they would strip down inside their shelters, dry their outer layers by the fire, and rotate to dry replacements. Fire in a blizzard seems impossible, right? Wrong. Native Americans kept fire-starting materials constantly prepared. Char cloth was kept in waterproof containers. Tinder bundles made from plant fibers, tree bark, and animal fur were stored dry and ready. But the real skill was in fire maintenance. They understood that a small, efficient fire was better than a large one. The Dakota fire hole is a perfect example. This is a pit dug into the ground with a tunnel connecting to the surface for air intake. The fire burns below ground level, protected from wind. This design uses half the wood of a surface fire while producing almost no smoke. Fuel selection was critical. Different woods burn differently. They knew which woods produced the least smoke, which gave the most heat, and which could be found even in deep winter. They also carried fire with them, as embers kept alive in special carriers made from bark or horn, lined with clay and filled with slow-burning punk wood. These ember carriers could keep fire alive for days. Before winter arrived, massive food preservation efforts took place. The key was pemmican, perhaps the most efficient survival food ever created. Pemmican was made from dried meat pounded into powder, mixed with rendered fat and sometimes dried berries. Roughly 50% fat, 50% protein. A handful of pemmican contained enough energy to sustain a person for half a day. The genius: pemmican doesn't freeze solid. The high fat content keeps it pliable even at extremely low temperatures. And it could last for years when properly stored. Water was actually easier than you might think. Snow and ice were melted slowly over fires. But they never ate snow directly, because your body uses precious calories to melt it internally, rapidly draining your energy. Some tribes would fill leather bags with snow and place them near their bodies inside their clothing. Body heat slowly melted the snow without requiring fire. Perhaps the most important secret: community. Native American tribes didn't believe in lone survival. They believed in collective survival. Before a major storm, communities came together. Multiple families would shelter in the largest lodges, sharing body heat, resources, and knowledge. The elderly, who had survived the most winters, were consulted and respected. Labor was divided. Some maintained fires. Others monitored food supplies. Everyone had a role. This system had multiple advantages. Shared body heat meant less fuel needed. Shared resources meant efficient rationing. Shared knowledge meant better decisions. It also provided psychological benefits. Being surrounded by family and community provided hope, purpose, and motivation to keep going. Modern survival experts have studied Native American techniques extensively, and many have been incorporated into military survival training. Layered clothing systems are now standard in all cold weather gear. Mental preparation and remaining calm is taught in every survival course. The value of community is recognized as essential in disaster situations. But perhaps the biggest lesson is this: survival isn't about having the most advanced technology. It's about understanding your environment, preparing intelligently, and respecting the power of nature. The Native Americans who survived 100 miles per hour blizzards didn't conquer nature. They worked with it. They observed it. They adapted to it. And that's why they didn't just survive, they thrived. The next time you see snow falling, remember, your ancestors survived conditions that would kill most modern people in hours. That survival knowledge still exists, and it might just save your life someday.